I never believed in ghosts. Not really. Not until the summer of 2002, when I found myself tangled in the grip of something so unnatural, so unexplainable, that I stopped sleeping with the lights off for nearly a decade. That summer, I had just turned 24. Fresh out of college, eager to start my new job, I moved from Ohio to a quiet town in Northern Virginia, just a sleepy little place called Elridge Hollow. It was one of those towns where everyone knew each other and strangers stood out like blood on snow. I rented a house I found through a handwritten listing tacked onto the community board of a local diner. The paper was yellowed and curled at the corners. Charming home for rent, quiet area, great price. It was handwritten in faded black ink with just a phone number underneath. I called it, of course. The man who answered sounded exhausted, but relieved to hear from me. "It's available," he said. "If you want it, it's yours. I just need someone in there. Someone living." That last part should have been a red flag, right? But I was young, broke, and optimistic. I thought maybe he meant he didn't want to rent to someone planning on subletting it as an Airbnb or something. I didn't ask questions. I just drove out to take a look. The house was old, really old, nestled beneath two massive sycamore trees that seemed to watch everything with silent judgment. Their bark curled like burnt paper, and their shadows stretched long even at noon. The house itself was weathered, but not ruined. It had two stories, white paint peeling off the clapboards, and the windows had this old wavy glass that distorted the view outside. The porch creaked like it was whispering secrets, but it felt inviting in a strange way, like it was waiting for me. I moved in by the end of the week. The first night passed quietly. I remember lying in bed, listening to the cicadas, and thinking how peaceful it was. But by the second night, things began to change. It started with footsteps. Around 2:17 a.m., I was jolted awake by the distinct sound of footsteps on the floor above me. Heavy, deliberate steps. I froze. I lived alone. No pets, no roommates. At first, I thought maybe it was an animal, a raccoon on the roof, perhaps. But no, these were footsteps. I know what footsteps sound like, and these moved from one end of the upstairs hallway to the other, then paused, right above my bedroom. Then three loud knocks, boom, 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 on the ceiling. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I just lay there in the dark, heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. By morning, I convinced myself it was just old house noises. Maybe the wood was expanding. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. But the next night it happened again. Same time, same footsteps, same knocking. I started sleeping with a flashlight beside me. I'd shine it toward the ceiling, as if light could protect me from what I couldn't see. Then came the whispering. Soft at first. So soft I thought it was the wind. But wind doesn't whisper names. It started with mine. It was so faint I barely caught it. But it was there. The voice was breathy and full of sadness. Not anger, not yet. Just sorrow. Desperation. I tried to record it. Set up an old camcorder I had from college. But when I checked the footage the next morning, the camera had shut off at 2:16 a.m. every time. Like whatever was happening didn't want to be seen. After a week of this, I was at my wit's end. I decided to ask the landlord about the house. I called the same number from the diner flyer. It rang and rang and rang. Then someone answered. "Hello?" It was the same voice, but something was wrong. The tone was slurred, distant. "Hi," I said. "It's me, the guy who rented the house on Hollow Creek Road. I just wanted to ask," but he interrupted me. "Have the dream started yet?" "What?" "The dreams," he whispered. "That's how she begins, in your sleep. Then she wants your voice." I hung up. That night I locked my bedroom door. Not that it would help. Around midnight I finally drifted off. That's when the dream came. I was standing in the hallway upstairs even though I never went up there. Something always told me not to. The dream felt so real, the soft creak of the floorboards beneath my feet, the scent of lavender and mildew in the air. At the end of the hallway was a door, old and painted shut, but something was pounding on the other side. Not knocking, pounding. And then a voice, hoarse and cracked. "Let me out!" I woke up gasping. My sheets were soaked in sweat. The room was freezing cold, even though it was July. The dreams became nightly. Always the hallway, always the door, and always that voice begging to be released. Sometimes crying, sometimes screaming. One night I found myself standing at the foot of the staircase, barefoot and half asleep, my hand on the banister. I didn't remember getting out of bed. I didn't remember walking there. But there I was, ready to go upstairs as if something had called me. I snapped out of it just in time. The next day I went upstairs for the first time since moving in. The air felt heavier there, like trying to breathe underwater. The hallway looked exactly like my dreams. Same faded wallpaper, same flickering light bulb, same door at the end with peeling white paint and rusted hinges. In the scent, lavender and mildew. I reached the door. My hand hovered over the knob, but I couldn't do it. My instincts screamed at me to turn back. Whatever was behind that door was not meant to be freed. I ran back downstairs, slammed the door shut behind me, and shoved a chair under the knob. That night the dreams changed. Now I was on the other side of the door. Inside the room. It was small, windowless. The walls were covered in old, torn wallpaper that pulsed like it was breathing. In the corner sat a woman. No, not quite a woman. Her limbs were too long, her skin pale and bruised, her mouth torn in a permanent, bloody grin. She didn't speak. She just stared at me. Then she began crawling forward, slow, jerky movements, her bones cracking with every motion. I woke up screaming. The whispering returned, but now it came from inside the house, not just in my dreams. I'd hear it behind walls, under floorboards, in the static of the old radio I'd never turned on. My name, over and over. Then one evening I came home from work and found muddy footprints leading from the front door to the base of the stairs. Bare footprints, small like a child's, but too wide, too wrong. I didn't sleep at all that night. I decided to leave. Whatever this was, I wasn't strong enough to deal with it. I began packing the next morning, but as I reached for my suitcase, the lights flickered. All of them. Then the radio in the living room turned on by itself. A low, distorted voice spoke through the static. "Don't leave me." The front door slammed shut on its own, every window locked tight, and the footsteps began again, this time descending the stairs. I stood frozen, clutching a box in my hands as the sound drew closer and closer. Thump, 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 then silence. I looked up. At the bottom of the staircase stood the woman from my dreams, her head tilted to one side, hollow black eyes fixed on me. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out. And then she screamed. It was a sound I'll never forget. It was like every scream I'd ever heard, mixed with thunder and rage and sorrow. I don't remember what happened next. I must have blacked out, because when I woke up, it was morning. The house was quiet, still, peaceful again. I grabbed my keys and ran. I never went back. I didn't take my things. I didn't ask for my deposit. I left Elridge Hollow and never spoke of it again. 2 years later, I tried to find the house again. just to see if it had really happened. But there was no Hollow Creek Road on any map. No listing for a house like the one I'd stayed in. The diner? Closed. Burned down, apparently, 6 months before I moved there. I don't know what I experienced. I don't know who or what that woman was. But sometimes when I try to fall asleep, I hear her voice. Not in my dreams, in the walls. And I remember what the landlord said. She wants your voice. And every time I speak, I wonder how much of me is still mine.